Hey guys, welcome back to the channel Custom Carving and Epoxy UK. I hope you're all doing well, and I've been inspired a little bit by pouring your heart out on this video, and Julie, she's really got me into doing different sort of 3D blooms and things like that at the moment. So it's going to be another bloom video, but yesterday I managed to get this 3D bloom come out. So if you've not seen the video, watch that. But it made me think, do you know what? There's a bit of a craze happening at the minute with the canna lilies in blooms. And actually I can see these metallics have really worked. So I'm going to try, not using the same colours, slightly different, to create sort of 8 individual canna lilies in this bloom sort of mould and see if that works. I've got some slightly different colours I'm going to try, and I'm not going to use the same centre that I did this time. I'm going to try the fireworks method, which is inspired by Julie from Pouring Your Heart Out, so thank you for that. And I'm going to see if I can get it to work. Whether I can or not is another matter, so we'll see. And I've got this bluer metallic paste, so I'm going to try that this time, because what I want to do is add to the white some of this iridescent blue powder, because I've tried that before in a bloom and it worked really well. So I'm going to try and get that as well in the bloom. I think the biggest challenge here is going to be able to pipe such a small area and get it still to bloom, but we're going to try. So all I've done so far is mixed up again 4 ounces of resin. As you can see, that's getting to 33.9 at the top, 30.9 at the bottom, so almost there. And what I'm going to do is exactly the same as yesterday in the mixing of the colours, and it's going to be the design that's hopefully going to be different and hopefully going to work. And hopefully this time I'm not going to drop the piping bag back in when I clean up. So again, I've done 4 ounces, and I think I'm going to add a silver backing to this as well, because I did get a silver in the kit and I think that would really make it pop. Not sure, to be honest with you, but as I say, this is more about seeing if I can get those canna lily designs in this, and if I can get sort of a bouquet of them going around there. If I can, I think it will look amazing. And I'm going to use a slightly different gold that came in a pack of 4 from Temu, and this one looks slightly more coppery, which I think would look really cool. And the plan is to have the white bloom as the main sort of flower, the blue in the middle as a centre bit coming through, and then to have the gold as like little stamens coming out, and then use that as sort of maybe little fireworks in the centre as well. So we'll see if it works. That's the plan, but as we know with resin, things don't always go to plan. So do me a favour as well, if it's your first time to the channel, do me a favour, like and subscribe. It makes such a difference. Just gone over 6,600 subscribers, which is brilliant, but I want to really grow this channel. And over 80% of the viewers at the minute don't like, don't subscribe. So do me a favour, take 2 seconds out of your day, click that subscribe button and give the video a quick like, and put something in comments. You know, it all helps the YouTube algorithm, which helps the channel grow. Again, I'm going to be using these piping bags. I get the small ones off of eBay or Amazon, depending on which is cheaper, and then I just chop off about 2 inches from the top. So I'm going to try and go with the same temperatures as yesterday, because it did bloom. And I think that's the key thing. It's getting to know the temperatures for your resin. I'm using the Let's Resin 1:1. So it's more of a medium viscosity resin. I am going to try these as well with different viscosities of resin. So I've got some Jiaochun resin, which is quite a thick one, and I've got some cheaper, thinner ones. So I'm going to see what different effects that makes. But for this one, I want to keep things simple. I know it pretty much worked yesterday, but I want to try and do it without that blobbing effect as well, and see if, as you can see, it's really close. But remember, when you use these digital thermometers, your surface temperature 35, but at the bottom we're still 30.6. So I always wait until the bottom. You're aiming for, with this resin in particular, I always aim for about 34, 35 degrees before I pour, and that makes sure it's up to temperature. So I always wait until the base is around there. And again, when you're doing your blooms, try and make sure that everything is going to be ready. I've not used this blue for a long time. I'm hoping it's not completely solid. In fact, I haven't used this blue at all. So I'm glad I checked that. I need to open it. So I'm just going to open it up and hope This is always the annoying part for me, is look at that colour. Beautiful. So I'm going to be using that blue, as I say, for that centerpiece. And the key is, I think, with these metallics, is not to use too much, because if you use too much, then it's inevitably going to sink. So what you want is just to use the smallest amount, and you still get that really nice shimmering metallic effect. And I love these metallic pastes for that. And we know that they work in blooms now, so hopefully that is going to work. So I think we are at 33, so I'm pretty happy with that. 33, 34 degrees is roughly where I'm aiming for with this particular resin. But as I say, there's so many different variables out there. You need to assess your resin, what works for you, and the only way you can do that is by experimenting. So first thing I'm going to do is just mix up the white. I've got this Let's Resin Ocean White that I'm going to use, and I'm just going to probably need a couple of drops. So I'm going to pour my resin out, and I'm going to go for about half a cup. I think that should be enough for each one. And then the rest is just going to go straight in that mould. So again, I might as well pour for the other colours as well. Again, half a cup. Because if I get any spare, you know me, I like to pour it in extra moulds anyway. And the gold, I'm not going to do as much because I don't think I'm going to need as much, if I'm being honest, because I'm just going to be using the gold really for those sort of stains. So that's left me with about 2 ounces of resin to pour in there, but I'm going to mix up the white first. So all I'm doing, probably a drop and a half to 2 drops of this Ocean White will be enough. That's sort of half a drop there. Come on, out you come. And there's a drop, so that's a full drop. So that's probably a drop and a half to 2 drops. Maybe add a tiny bit more, and that should be good to go. Again, going to use one of these sticks and just give it a stir. But what I am going to do is add some of this iridescent blue powder as well. And this is just iridescent nail powder, blue, but it worked really well in the previous bloom that I've done. So I'm going to add some of that to the mix as well. Not too much, but hopefully it will give us an extra shimmer in those blooms. And I don't want to get this absolutely everywhere. I just want the smallest amount. And you've got to make sure it's really well mixed in. So probably going for around about that amount. Putting that in there, and you can see that blue shimmer already. And I'm hoping that that's going to go through that bloom, so we will see. And with it being blue, it should work with the blue metallic paste as well. So just going to mix that round. And you've got to make sure when you use these powders, you've got to mix it really well, because if you don't, you'll get little white powdery patches, which you don't want. So happy with that. Quite well concentrated. I can still just about see through the stick, which is what you're looking for. So I'm hoping that that is the right consistency. We'll find out. But look at that little blue shimmer on it, and I'm hoping that that's going to come through the bloom as well. So that is my white. Gonna do the blue the blue next. So this is the blue that I haven't used before, and all I'm gonna do is just mix it round like that, and whatever's left on my stick is what I'm gonna use. So that amount, and I've just realized I've put the wrong pot in, so that's stirrer for me. I want to just move that into the gold pot. And then I'm going to mix up that blue. But again, with these metallics, you get a really cool shimmer. And I'm hoping that that's going to work in this calla lily design. Let me know if you think it's going to work in comments. There we go, beautiful, look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. And I do love these pastes. I say they're only from Temu, and they weren't overly expensive. And then this is that other metallic gold, which I think has got more of a coppery effect. So again, not going in too heavy, because I think with these metallics, I think they are quite heavy anyway. So just a little sprinkle in there, and I think that should be enough. And before I mix that one up, I'm just going to pour the resin as well, so that can be settling. And if you look there, got some of that iridescent powder on there already, so I'm just going to give that a little bit of a wipe. But I am conscious of the timing now, because that resin is still warming up. So there we go, just wiping that blue iridescent powder off there, off my mould. And again, this mould was actually from Temu. I'd love to get a couple of Julie's from Pouring Your Heart Out, but unfortunately doesn't fit within my budget at the minute, especially with the Australian shipping. But her moulds look like they're real quality as well, so shout out to her. There we go. So this one, again, it worked yesterday, so as long as it works, that's all I'm bothered about. So I'm going to pour in this resin now, just in the center. I'm trying to get it all out. And in there. Just before I finish mixing up that gold. And so I want to get every last drop, because I want a decent depth on my bloom, you know. They do work well in shallow, but they work better if you've got, I find, sort of 3/4 centimetre of depth. So there we go. I think that's all of that resin. And I'm going to probably, as I say, put a top coat on this one. So just moving it into those corners, making sure that everywhere has some of that resin. And I can already feel it's thickening up actually a bit quicker than yesterday, so I really do need to get a move on. So that is that. Right, mix up the gold. Wow, look at that for a colour. Absolutely stunning. And I love this sort of effect you get with these metallic powders. So again, just giving that a mix round. Happy with that. And making sure it's all thoroughly mixed before I put them in the piping bags. But before I do that, I'm just going to check for any bubbles with my silicone tool and my torch. So they like to sort of get around these edges. So I just like to go around, especially in these points, and try and get any of them out that I can. And all you're trying to do is just encourage them up to the surface, and then you can get them with your torch. And I think that is all of them. So just going to wipe that tool, get my torch, and just go over the top. There we go. So I'm happy with that. But I have just noticed a dot of something in there, and I don't want anything to disturb this bloom. Again, I don't know what it is. And there we go, and that's probably about 3/4 of the way full, that mould, so I'm happy with that. So to go on to the pouring, I suppose. So first one, the white. Again, get that in there ready. With this iridescent blue. Just pouring it in that piping bag. Trying to get it all in, and it is thickening up already, so I am going to have to get a shift on. And with blooms, just remember, just keep experimenting, you know, it's meant to be fun. They won't all work out. Some won't work out the way that you want, some will work out better than you want, you know, it's just having fun and seeing what effects you get. So that is my white. Again, in that piping bag, and all I do is just give it a squeeze. Down to there. give it a twist, and that is now ready to be piped. So that's my white. Now exactly the same again for the blue. In fact, I'm going to leave the white out because I'm going to be using that first anyway. So in with the blue. And again, that is a stunning colour. So I'm just hoping this works. Again, try to scrape it all out into the piping bag. And that way, if I have got any extras at the end, I can always just pipe it into another mould and see what I get. So that is that. And I might actually start trying to fill a larger mould with layers of these spears rather than just using the small teddy bears and things like that I've been using, just to see again what effect it has. Again, got a bit of resin on the outside of the bag, so just wiping it off with a wipe, and then give it a squeeze, press it all down. And again, I don't think I'm going to need as much of this as the white, but that is my blue. And then lastly is going to be that gold. And it's going to be a case of how well I can actually pipe here, I think, for these canna lilies to actually work, and where you position them. So just going to give that another quick stir. Beautiful gold though, that. Absolutely stunning. It's got sort of copperish elements. Into that piping bag. Trying to get it all out. And then I think we are ready to go. So get this out of the way, and that is the gold. Again, just giving it a squeeze down, squeeze as much of it down as I can, and then I just give it a twist, trying to get any air out, but just give it a good squeeze and twist, and then that one's ready. And as you can see, I've done a little bit less of the gold, but I don't think I'm going to need as much because of the design that I'm going for. So that is my gold. So first things first, going to start off with the white, and I think the idea here is to just get ovals of the right size initially. So I'm just going to snip off the tiniest bit off the end there, just to release that resin, if I can find my scissors. Never find things when you need them. Voila, got them. So just gonna, as I say, I've got to be quite careful here because this is going to really impact the design on this one. Normally with a bloom I'm not too fussed, but with this one being a canna lily, I think I've got to get it just right. So just having a look there, got a reasonable stream coming through, and it allows me to come back over them. So I'm going to start off here and just go around. Well, I don't think this is going to look even already. First time piping this, so apologies about that. And I think I'm asking a bit much to get 8. I think I've just ruined the design, but I'm going to persist. I've kind of got... Wow. Not at all how I planned this. So I don't know what this is going to turn out like. We're not going to have the fireworks centre. We'll be lucky not to have a blobby mess looking at this. There you go, piping skills leave a lot to be desired, but I'm going to persist anyway and see if I can get 1 or 2 of them to at least look pretty good. Again, just adding a bit more. This one here looks a bit thin as well. And you know what? In nature, things don't have to be perfect, so we'll see. But yeah, piping went wrong there. Apologies. But I'm still going to see what it comes out like. So now in with the blue. And I want this to be a little bit thinner, which it is. But I still want to get a decent amount in the center of these. And let me know in comments if you think I've just ruined this, or do you think it will still resemble a canna lily when it's done? I know what I think, but as I say, you always persist, and you never know, you might get some of your best results. But yeah, this doesn't look too good at the minute. And now for the gold. As I say, it does look like a mess at the moment. I'm hoping when it starts to bloom, it doesn't look as much of a mess. So here we go. Got this gold. I'm going to put a few dots in the center first, just before it all blobs. And again, this is not what I was going for. I think there's actually too many to try and fit 8 in such a small mold, if I'm being completely honest. And again, I just want this to, I suppose, kind of drop out. And hopefully this will create stamens in the center. I didn't want that to happen either. As I say, I need to learn to control my piping. Oh, that's just gone over that one. But as I say, with resin, you never know what's going to happen. And this is kind of giving me that stringy effect, which I don't want, because it's affecting these dots just coming out as a dot. Julie, you make it look so easy. But it isn't. I think I'm actually starting to get the hang of it a little bit more now. Bit late now, but at least I know for next time. But I actually think this is going to turn out to be a disaster tomorrow when I demold. But we will see. Hopefully the resin will magically fix it somehow. My poor piping skills. Seem to be getting the hang of it a little bit more now. A little bit late. And what I might do is just put the tiniest drop of white in here as well, just to see if that creates any kind of different effect. Almost to give it sort of an extra bloom. if it spreads in. Either way, it should be an interesting result we get. And there we go. I'm hoping that's all still going to pull in a little bit more and create a bit of an effect, but I won't know until tomorrow. And as I say, it's not the exact look I was going for, but what I'm going to do is still pull these out. Just like that with my little tool. Only doing these top bits just to make them look a little bit more like petals. And as I say, this is not my biggest piping success, so I'm not expecting great things. But who knows? It's still worth waiting and seeing what it turns out like. It might turn out to be the most amazing bloom I've ever done. I'm just going to pull this in a little bit like this. And I think it looks pretty cool from this side. It's whether it's going to work or not. I don't think I'm going to get the effect that I wanted. I don't think I'm going to get that cannoli look, mainly because of poor piping. But we will see. So as you can see, I've probably got about an ounce spare left of resin. And what I'm going to do, I've got this snail mold. I don't use it very often, but I'm just going to put the remainder in this snail mold in sort of different designs all the way around it. As you can see, I'm just piping it in. Now you have got to be careful with these snail molds of these antennas because you need to make sure they're full. Again, just putting it all in all the way around, and if needs be, if I haven't got enough, I can always top it up with some clear or something like that. But I just want to get the different colours into this snail on both sides. And if you can see there, the antennas don't fill. So what you've got to do is almost force it in. So you give them a quick squeeze and then get a stick or something like that, and just push them in. Push the resin actually in the mold. So if you see there, I'm actually pushing that in using that dabber into all of them, so I know that there's some resin into each of those. And then when you fill it, you've just got to give it a good squeeze. And if you don't take that time to do this with the antennas, what you'll probably get is a bubble. Rather than an antenna when you come to demold. Again, just going to pour the rest of it in. And I don't think I'll have enough to completely fill it, but we'll see. Just want to, as you can see, I'm just trying to get it in different sort of patterns all the way around this snail, and it is going to slide down the side. I know that. Doesn't matter what you do, it will always do that. But I'm hopeful that I might have enough to fill this with this leftover resin. And again, no particular order. I like the randomness of going all over the place and seeing what the resin actually wants to do. You know, I think sometimes the best pieces are when you just let the resin work its magic and this is just spare anyway, so as long as it cures, I'm going to be happy, I think, with whatever result I get. But it also means that tomorrow, rather than just this bloom, which, if I'm being honest, I don't think is going to work the way that I'd planned, I'm going to have something else to demold, which hopefully will be a success. Again, just trying to get every last drop out, because I don't like to waste resin. And then what I can do, if I'm sort of half an ounce short, which I think I'm going to be, is just mix up half an ounce and add that in. And what I'll probably do is add that in when I add the extra layer to the bloom. Although I am wondering if I want to do that now, with the fact that the design's gone a bit pear-shaped. There we go. So that is pretty much all of it out, and I think I'm about half an ounce short, so I am going to have to fill it up, but that is pretty much half full, I think. In fact, I've still got a little tiny drop in these. Every drop matters. There we go. That's about all I can get out of there. I say it's just kind of having a bit of a weird effect at the minute, the bloom. So it'll be intriguing tomorrow to see if I get a different result. So just trying to get every last bit out. And then I'm going to go back and sort those antennas out so I can at least show you that on this video. So it's not been a complete waste if this doesn't turn out. But you can see there's still no resin in that antenna. So you just need to give it a good squeeze and pour the resin up into that head, giving it a good squeeze both sides as well. And then that head is now pretty much full. So I'm just going to take my stick again, and it's hard to get you an angle here, but I'm just literally pushing it in. Push that resin in, keep pushing it in until you're happy. And it does mean this tool's going to be an absolute pain to clean now. But it is what it is. And then just give it a good squeeze again, all of the antennas, to hopefully stop any bubbles. And just keep playing with it and maneuvering that resin until you're confident that it's full. Like that, you can now see there's resin in there, and they're completely filled. So hopefully at demold, I won't have any bubbles, and I will actually have those antennae, if that's what you call them on a snail. Yeah, happy with that. There's still a tiny bubble there. So again, just forcing it out, forcing that resin through, and hopefully that will work. And actually, sometimes a toothpick works better for that than my actual stirrer. I just want to make sure it's all completely in there. And I think, as I say, I'm going to need a tiniest bit of resin. So in circumstances like this, what I like to do is I've already got these pots out. I'm not going to be too bothered about any air bubbles. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix it directly in this pot. And I'm just going to do this tiny cup. And that's where these resin pumps really come in useful, because I can pretty much, without measuring, just eyeball it. And now I'm going to mix that together. Where's my stirrer? Let's use this one. And I'm just going to mix that so it's all thoroughly mixed. And then I can top up that snail and give it a quick mix actually in the mould. Again, make sure you scrape your sides if you're doing this and the bottom, because you don't want unmixed resin. And again, you can see some of that has still come through, so hopefully it won't look ridiculous. It will hopefully give us two slightly different effects, where I've got the more opaque parts and the slightly more translucent parts. So you never know, it might actually look like a snail. But just mixing this 2 or 3 minutes to make sure it's all thoroughly mixed. I'm really liking that actually, that colour. And then I'm just going to top up that mould to the top. And then we should have a snail to demould tomorrow as well. And hopefully a pretty funky looking snail. But again, if ever you like that and you're just a little bit short, just mix them up, you know, and add it in. I normally find that it cures. As you can see on that, I'm going to stop there, just whilst I've got a little bit of space left in it, and I'm going to give it a quick squeeze, just to try and encourage any air bubbles up. And I'm going to go in those antennas again. You can see there's a couple there that have just come up. Give them a good squeeze again. And that's where you've got to put so much focus on when you're doing these snails. It's those antennas, because they will make or break your piece. And there's nothing worse than demoulding and then finding out you've got a giant air bubble. As you can see, I'm just squidging it around, trying to dislodge any air bubbles that might be in there. Giving those antennas another squeeze. And you watch, tomorrow when I demould, I'll have a big air bubble after showing you how to do it properly. But we will see. I'm going to just fill that up to the... Give it a second now for any of those bubbles to just come to the surface. And then just fill it to the top. And now I've got some spare resin again. All the way. And I think that is full. Happy with that. Hopefully those antennas have come through, and I have still got a tiny little bit spare, so let's fill up another mould. I wish I had a bigger workspace. Well, it does seem to be blooming, the bloom, but it is a very weird effect. And I don't think this is going to be a success, so sorry about that, guys. But I am still going to post the video. I think it's important that you guys know that not every project turns out to be a success, no matter how hard you try. So I'm just going to fill up this seahorse mould. As well, just because I've got it on the side. And I think it'll look pretty cool in these blue colours. And you've got to pay particular attention to the tail and the nose on these. So I always try and fill those bits first, just to make sure they are completely full. And this is where I'm going to find out I haven't got enough for these two. No, I should just be okay. Actually, got a few drips. See if I can get one of these baby ones as well. Now these are an absolute pain to fill, and I think this mould's actually meant for fondant, not resin, and that's why I can never get the baby one's tails right, just because it is so tiny. So we will find out tomorrow if this works, or if it's, as I suspect, just going to be a bit of a blobby mess. So I've still got a little bit of this in, so trying to create that marbling effect, I suppose. But it's been fun, even if I don't get the result that I wanted. And that's the key. I think I need to just work on my piping. If I'm going to be trying some more of these intricate results. And again, it's having a really weird effect there. I don't think it's blooming properly. And that metallic blue, it doesn't seem to be working as well as the purple did yesterday. So we will see. I might just give this a quick swirl. I don't think it will hurt anything now. Try not to touch those dots in the centre. But we will see. I'm going to leave it 24 hours. I'm not going to put a backing on just because I don't think it's going to have worked out and I'll just be wasting resin. But hopefully tomorrow we'll see what results, if any, we've got from this. I know that I now need to work on my piping skills a little bit more before I attempt something like this again. Or perhaps get a mould that doesn't have 8 tiny little sort of ovals that I've got to pipe. So I'm going to work on that for the next video, but let's see what it turns out like tomorrow. If you've liked the content, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Hey guys, and we're back, and it's time for demold. So should be an interesting one. Very weird texture. I think something reacted weirdly. I think it was the metallic that I used this time has reacted somehow with the bloom. So I don't know what effect we'll get on the front, but it's a very cool effect on the back. It's a bit like I suppose that Liechtenstein effect you get in wood, but I absolutely love the back. So either way, even if the front isn't great, I think the back's turned out really cool, and I could probably never duplicate that effect. But as always, start with the smaller pieces. Oh, that seahorse is swimming off. And again, came out really cool. Just those little tiny seahorses. Love the detail in such a small piece. I'm now going to do the bigger ones. Again, really cool little piece, and I love the details on it that you get on this little seahorse mould. And again, I'm building up the seahorse collection because I've got a plan for them all when they're all done. And just remember, when you demold, if you've got this mould, be careful around the tail, because that is the bit that's likely to snap. Again, cool little piece. And I'm loving that I'm getting all these different effects in these seahorses, because I want a few different ones for the plan that I've got. Next, this snail, and I'm hoping that I got the antennas right and I spent enough time on it, and we will see in a second. Now, these are a bit of a pain to demold as well, so I like to try and just pull this little bit here, here, and here, just to start that demolding process, and the antenna bit here. And then it's just a case of wrapping this around. They are a pain. But once you get the hang of it, there we go. Wow, and I'm loving that. Please be intact, antennae. And oh, so close. That one there just came loose by the look of it, but I love that. Great little effect on that snail, and I love the way he looks. It's just a shame about that little blob, so there was obviously still a tiny air bubble in there. I didn't spend enough time on it, but it's no great drama. It should still be in the mould, and what I'll do, well, in fact it's not even there, so I don't know how I missed that, to be honest. But it is. It's just in that little tip there. So I must have got the tiniest little air bubble that I'd missed, even though I did spend my time on it. So I'm going to try and get that out, and I can always reattach that. See, it's that little tiny bit there. I can reattach that with a little bit of UV. But yeah, he came out really cool. I love the shell, and I love the shine on it as well. So there we go, another little snail. And now the main event. But again, if you're liking the content, do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel. It makes the world of difference, and it allows me to keep doing pieces like this. But again, look at that on the back. Very, very cool. And I'm going to be doing another video with this mold, actually, because I've had another idea what I think might work, just because those shapes are already there. But yeah, that is such a cool effect on this side. But worst case scenario, I think I could still use it as a coaster this way round. But let's have a look and see what we've got, because I've never had that happen before. So I don't know if it was the metallic paste, if I didn't mix it properly enough before I mixed it with the resin, or what's caused it, to be honest. But we will see what it looks like on the front. And then make a decision. But I'm liking this little mold. I think it cost me about £3 on Temu, and it's given me some different shapes at least. So there we go, that's the mold. And I'm not that hopeful, if I'm being honest, just because of this. Doesn't really look like that white's bloomed at all, but we're gonna have a look. Here goes. Oh dear. Oh dear. Now we got a bit of a blobby mess there. I don't know what happened. Again, I love this cool effect in the middle though. Because last time I did this, as you can see in the last video, I didn't have any problems with this bloom. And this time, look at that. I don't even know what it is, but it looks like all of that white has pretty much blobbed. And I didn't think I put it in that heavy. But I do love that effect it's made on the inside there, if you can see that. And I think this one, I'm going to keep this way around. I think it's the cool effect that I'm probably never going to be able to repeat again by accident. But did it work as a bloom? No, that side's a blobby mess. However, this side looks pretty cool. So if you've liked it, like and subscribe to the channel. And there'll be plenty more experiments coming up, and again, I think we've got over 60 resin videos now, so there's lots of content to watch that are all resin related. So go back, have a look through some of those, and look at some of the really cool results we've got through different experiments. But apart from that, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.